Title: The Store That Stopped. One cold autumn afternoon in a quiet suburban town, a man named Malik walked into a local hardware store. He was tall, with broad shoulders, and his gait was confident, yet there was a slight tension in the way he moved. Malik was used to the stares, the whispers, and the uncomfortable silence when he entered spaces that didn't quite expect him. But today was different. This wasn't just any store, it was Harrington's Hardware, a place where customers often murmured about the good old days and where the manager, Tom, had earned a reputation for his old-fashioned values. The kind of values that some, in the town, still believed in. Malik wasn't afraid. He'd been to this store before, though rarely, and he knew the atmosphere that awaited him: discomfort, judgment, and sometimes outright hostility. Today, however, he had come with a purpose. He needed a particular tool for his construction job, and Harrington's was the only place in town that carried it. The moment Malik entered, a slight bell above the door chimed, and the low hum of background chatter seemed to pause. The few people inside all turned to look at him, eyes narrowing, lips twitching. There were the usual suspects: a couple of older white men hunched over the aisles, a woman picking through bags of mulch, and they all went silent. Malik ignored them, walking down the aisles with a calm, purposeful stride. But as he approached the tools section, a chill seemed to settle over the room. One by one, the customers stopped what they were doing. The air felt heavy, and the silence was unnerving. Then it happened. A voice from behind the counter, Tom Harrington himself, called out to him. "Can I help you, son?" Malik turned, meeting his gaze with a quiet intensity. Tom's eyes flickered for just a moment, almost imperceptibly, before his lips curved into a forced smile. But there was something in his eyes that hinted at more than just the usual discomfort. "I'm looking for a cordless drill," Malik replied, his voice firm but not aggressive. Tom hesitated for a moment, then nodded, gesturing towards the far side of the store. "Aisle 3. Should be plenty to choose from." Malik thanked him and began walking toward the aisle, his every step echoing through the store. But then, as he passed the counter, something strange happened. One of the men, an older gentleman named Jack, stood up abruptly. He was shaking. His hands trembled as he dropped a small bag of nails he had been holding. Bag hit the floor with a thud. I know you," Jack muttered, his voice thick with disbelief. "You're—" Malik turned slowly, his eyes narrowing. "I'm what?" Jack blinked a few times, trying to process what was happening. The tension in the room was palpable now. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Malik. The whispering started, like the faint hum of electricity in the air before a storm. But it wasn't just any whispering. It was confusion, recognition. "You're the guy who built the community center." Jack's words came out in a stutter. "That was you, right?" Malik didn't speak for a moment. He let the silence hang in the air, and it seemed as though time itself had stopped. Then he nodded slowly. "Yes," he said. "I'm the one who built it." The room went dead silent. No one moved. The weight of the realization hit them all at once. This wasn't just any man walking into their store. He wasn't just a troublemaker or someone who didn't belong. He was the man who had brought their town together, a black man who had spearheaded the biggest project they'd ever seen. A project that, in a way, had forced them to confront their own biases, to look beyond the skin, and see what he had done for their community. And for many of them, it had been hard to ignore. He had designed, led, and built the community center that served as the heart of their town, a place where kids played, families gathered, and neighbors helped each other. The murmurs began to rise again, but this time they were different. They weren't whispers of suspicion or prejudice. They were questions. Unanswered, unsure questions. Jack spoke again, his voice trembling. "You, You built that for us? All of us? Malik's expression softened. Yes, for all of us. It was as though something had broken inside the store, a wall that had been built through years of small, ignorant judgments and stubborn pride. The other customers began to look at him differently, almost ashamed of themselves. They hadn't known. They hadn't seen him as the man who had helped build the very foundation of the community they claimed to care about. The frozen moment stretched on, but in that silence there was a shift, a sense of reckoning. The uncomfortable stares slowly faded, replaced by hesitant gestures toward him. One man, the woman with the mulch, even nodded silently in his direction, as if offering a kind of unspoken apology. Finally, Tom came around the counter, his face flushed. He cleared his throat awkwardly. I'm sorry, Malik. For the way things have been. Malik nodded once, but his gaze never wavered. It's all right, he said softly. But maybe it's time for some things to change. As he walked to the aisle, the chatter resumed, but it was different. More thoughtful. More open. Malik picked up the cordless drill he needed, paid at the counter, and left the store. But the people in that store were left behind, frozen, not in fear, but in contemplation, wondering how it had taken them so long to see. And for Malik, this wasn't just a trip to buy a tool. It was a quiet reminder that sometimes the hardest moments are the ones that make people stop and think. And when they finally do, it's possible to build something better together.